maybe it's some niche social site about, people who are beer aficionados, right? It's a niche, but for people who care about beer, it's really something they're very passionate about and they want to share and express themselves, right? So he goes, and it's the kind of site where, it's more kind of a fun little thing he wants to do. He doesn't want to have to create a whole account and do a bunch of heavyweight management. But the fact that he can show up and just give it one of his identity providers, and boom, he's up and running, means that all of a sudden it's very easy for him to get on board. And then, he pulls in and finds, hey, who else do I know who's talking about beers, right? Because you never know what interests your friends have, right? But because he has a social graph provider, he can very quickly go in and match it up against the site and find a few people to start sharing with. And so he gets engaged in the site very quickly. And then maybe he starts, sharing some stuff out. He's like, oh, I was at Tornado the other day and they got this wicked new amber ale you got to know about, right? And he can share that back out. Now, I would never have found, this beer site, but because he shares it back in his aggregator of choice, and because we already have an existing relationship, I see that piece of information, right? And not only do I discover the fact that John's into beer, I also discover that there's this beer site that I'd never heard of, right? So now it's not only helping me spread the content and stay in touch, it's also a discovery mechanism for the site itself. And now I go check out the site, and I find my friends, and I share information out, and there's a virtuous cycle that goes around and around and around and around. So if you stop and think about this, it's a very powerful concept. Because now, if you're this new site, you don't have to do this, Faustian bargain of, do I live inside one person's walled garden, or do I have to live out in the cold? You just start, we put it out there, maybe it's only going to have 100,000 users, but those users are going to naturally have a way of finding it, engaging with the site, and then telling their friends about it, and it's going to be part of this ecosystem. And it's good for the aggregators. I mean, each of the players in this space is providing value to the user, right? And each one is getting bigger. And so essentially what's happening is you're just removing a lot of inefficiency that's out there in the world, and everybody's winning, right? And I think that's that kind of concept where you start to say, oh, this is why it's going to be self-perpetuating. This is why it's going to become a very big deal.